throughout the years I've been making pots, I want to give that back to the community. And so I started, wanting to become a teacher in Laguna. And what I found is that there isn't that much desire within the youth. Like, like I thought, well, there'd be a whole bunch of students, just coming to, breaking down the doors. And I, made a bunch of pookies and got my whole classes waiting for the students to arrive, and they didn't arrive. And we were getting paid by the hour at the Goake Center, and our boss had said, well, you got to get out there and you got to, sell yourself and put out flyers. So I was out there talking to people and have a class going, but still, I couldn't find anybody that really, wanted to, that had that spark. And I don't know if it's because of the way the generations are going now, where everybody is, wants everything done so quickly, and have, like to have something made so fast. But one thing, it does take patience, and that's one thing I learned when I first started, making pottery, was that you have to just let it, everything go, throw him and just enjoy what you're doing, and get rid of all the negative thoughts that you have. Same way with planting or any other kind of art, you have to be one with yourself, one with our Creator, and it takes that prayer and endurance. Because then you go through all the trial and error that goes on, that you can't stop. And I think I applaud all you potters for that, because it takes a lot of work, like we've been saying, to go through every single step. Trying to instill that, the endeavor it is to be a potter, and to show them, as an example. But those are just my kids. But I want everybody to know that, not in the whole community. So I kind of think, like with every art form, there's an era. Like you have like the neoclassical era, or you have like the Renaissance era. We're going through our own era now of where we saw the revival of pottery in the 1920s, and then with SWAIA being founded, and then seeing the great potters, the monarchs, and then now it's everything comes to a peak, and it's starting to decline. And like some of the other potters were saying here, that we are seeing it as a dying art. And that's, when I was a teenager, that was the main reason why I wanted to become a potter, was that I didn't want to see it dying out in my Pueblo. And to this day, there's only a few of us. So it's kind of like, well, how do we, what can we do to keep it going? Do we keep it within our families? Do we share it with the rest of the community? If we share it with the rest of the community, does that mean that we're, we can have more competition? That we're going to be, they'll be our, how would you say, our competitors at the same level that we are. And it's thoughts like those that we have to think about, that we have to pray about, and we have to try to go back to our core values that as Pueblo people, like not just family but community, and instill that back in our children, instill that back in our younger generation. Because like today too, like I see kids in my village walking around, and you're supposed to say hello to one another when you walk by. They just walk by, they won't even say hi to you, and it's like, and they say, hey, so I'll spray water on them. If I'm watering my yard and they walk by, I was like, and they'll say, oh, that feels cool, but they don't even say hello, and so I don't know, how, it's because of our people work day by day, and they're in 8 to 5 jobs, so a lot of our values have diminished, and we still have time to bring it back to where we need to be. And I think pottery is one of the ways of doing it, to bring those values back out again too. And been teaching my kids, and since they've been small, and now they're like into their video games so much, they can spend 4 or 5 hours just on trying to get to the next level. And what I would tell my sons is, like, all that energy, all that that you put into your games, put that into your pottery. So when my boy was like 10 years old, what did he do? He made a controller out of clay, the PlayStation controller, and he made the little things. He said, there you go. Now, so just trying to give him an example. We need to just switch everything around, and I know that's hard, at times that, with all of us working and kind of doing our own thing. But I think another way too that SWAIA could help out, when I first started in '94, there was 3 categories for traditional pottery, and then now there's only 2 categories. So maybe by opening that another category up in a different, like Eric was saying, like you can still be a traditional potter in a contemporary world and make different forms. Not the traditional shape, but experiment with different shapes and sizes, but using the same materials and techniques to keep our our craft going for years to come. But that's what I like to say. Thank you.
Umbiaking. My name is Marcia Padilla, and I come from Santa Clara, Pueblo. I started doing pottery when I moved back to Santa Clara, and I was about 30 years old. And I was watching my mother doing her pottery, and she started talking to me, and she says, you need to learn how to make pottery. She says, because you don't know what the future holds, if your husband should pass away, and that you need to have something that you can fall back on, and also, you need to teach your children and your grandchildren that are coming up. And so I started learning how to make pottery. Both my parents did pottery, and so I learned from them. I also learned from my grandfather and my other grandmother, and just watching them how they did it. I think most of us are teaching our children and our grandchildren how to work with clay in the traditional way. And I would like to see that maybe SWAIA might consider that if we're doing traditional pottery, and that our grandchildren also have the opportunity, when we move forward in our life and can't do pottery anymore, and we get older, we can't do what we used to do, but that space that has been held, that it be shared, it be transferred over to either a child that is also doing traditional pottery, or a grandchild. That's something that I think, in order for this traditional work to continue, that something like that should be also considered. There's less and less of us potters who really do the traditional work. And in order for this to continue, I think the opportunity should come to our children and grandchildren to be able to, use that space after we've gone, that they continue, with the traditional pottery.